Ahoy there! Welcome back to another One Piece chapter review. This week we have chapter 1121. Got a nice little cover page for Shonen Jump. Very celebratory, everyone's dressed in suits. We just have Nami, Chopper, Usopp, and Luffy with shades on. Interesting, his suit is black with gold, orange or goldish stripes. Usopp is wearing a top hat, Chopper's got on a bow tie, Nami has on a red dress. Very nice cover for Shonen Jump. Okay, notes from Oda. It's been so long since I last saw Summers live. They always help me laugh off my stress when I watch their comedy routines. Shiro Oda. And everyone knows that Oda is a huge fan of comedy, so that makes sense. We got our nice color spread here. It's a huge shot of Nami, and the other Straw Hats are sort of little miniature drawings in the background. So it's a very summary shot. We got Frankie with a duck. He's riding what looks like a rubber duck with a spiked collar. Got Brooke playing music. Zoro sitting on top of Nami's ankle, slicing a watermelon in half. Very cool. Luffy eating a giant ice cream cone. The ice cream cone that Nami's holding in her hand. Got Sanji on Nami's thigh with hard eyes. Jinbei under that. Usopp leaping towards the ice cream, so both Usopp and Luffy are going to be eating the ice cream. Then we've got some more ice cream sitting on Nami's wrist, and Robin sitting next to that, looking up, and Chopper sitting on Nami's other hand. Very nice summary, sort of bikini shot, One Piece cover spread. Very awesome. I can see this being very popular. Okay, first page. The clash comes to a head. Watch out for those claws. We can't let them get away. Fire. They're poisonous. Don't touch them. So Luffy is warning everyone about Saturn's claws. The Navy is still opening fire on the giant pirate ship. Chapter 1121, The Ebb and Flow of the Ages. So that's the chapter title. Whoa, yeah, nothing good can come from touching that. What an intense attack. So we've got Saturn doing his sort of jabbing Gatling attack where he's trying to stab everyone with his poison claws. The giants are using their shields to block the attacks. You still won't stay down, you bastard. So we've got Luffy winding up for a punch in Gear 5. So Luffy's winding up for the punch. In the next panel, we've got Bonnie, who's activated Gear 5, or activated her time fruit, giving her a Nika-ish future, so her false Gear 5, Mumble. Luffy looks on. Okay, so Bonnie's mumbling something, and Luffy notices that she's mumbling something. He fires off the punch, hockey-coated pistol attack. It knocks Saturn's claw aside, so it looks like Saturn was aiming an attack at Bonnie. And I guess Bonnie was distracted because she was mumbling, and Luffy knocked Claw out of her way, so she didn't get hit by it. Bonnie leaps up, and Saturn notices. Bonnie? Wheeze, wheeze. Bonnie is wheezing. That's it, Bonnie, you've got this. Luffy's cheering her on. And the next page, we are back to Vegapunk's broadcast. The day of awakening is coming, where all the pressing secrets of the Void Century will be uncovered. We know the weapons technology that sank the world's continents. And during this shot, or during this part of the broadcast, we see a close-up of Shirahoshi, and then that's a close-up of Vivi. So they're both listening to this broadcast still. And of course, Shirahoshi is the ancient weapon Poseidon. And Vivi is a Nefertari, and the Nefertari family knew about the location of the ancient weapon Pluton, so there's a connection there to Pluton. We know the weapons technology that sank the world's continents is still in use. That power is out there. And now we get a shot of Skypia. So there's Konis, and Konis and the little girl, Isa, I believe her name was, the little Shandorian girl, and they're walking towards Wiper and the other Shandorian warriors. And it looks like they've done some building in Skypia. Oh, the snake's there too, the giant snake. Yeah, they've done some building in Skypia. This building looks like nothing I recognized before, just having seen before. So they've done some building. Those with rare and unique racial ancestry are relentlessly persecuted and slaughtered today due to some mysterious quirk of history. And now you've got a shot of Kuma, and the giants are still fending off Saturn's attacks. So is Kuma conscious? Not sure. Still looks like he's unconscious. Or maybe he is conscious, because we've got a flashback here. So I guess Kuma is conscious and he's remembering. Are you a buccaneer? Says Vegapunk. What makes my blood so special anyway? Asks Kuma. Oh, we've got Marco here. Marco defending Whitebeard's home village. He's back in Whitebeard's home village. And now Marco is remembering. I'm talking about the distant past. Back then, there was a kingdom of gods up there. Huh, that's interesting coming from Whitebeard. Talking about the distant past, back then there was a kingdom of gods up there. So, a kingdom of gods up there. The first thought is the Lunarians on top of the red line. And that is interesting. Whitebeard referring to them as a kingdom of gods. Were the Lunarians considered gods by the people? The Lunarians lived on top of the red line. Were they considered gods? If they were considered gods by the people living on the sea, that would mean that the celestial dragons, in usurping the Lunarians, took on the position of gods. Or is this a case? Let's see. Did we ever establish that the celestial dragons attacked the Lunarians and wiped them out? Or is it a case of the Lunarians having gone extinct and there was nothing on top of the red line? I'm pretty sure I remember that it was the celestial dragons, the world government that took out the Lunarians. I'd have to go back and reconfirm that, but I believe that's the case. And if that is the case, that we have the Lunarians being the gods living on top of the red line, they get overthrown by the Alliance, the world government, and the celestial dragons then take over as gods living on top of the red line. That is very important to note if that's the case, because it indicates there's a cycle that some people get on top, that some people gain control of the world, and when they do, they take that spot on top of the red line. Hmm. Interesting. Very interesting. Then we have to consider what kind of gods were the Lunarians considered? Were they considered merciful gods? Were they considered neutral gods? Were they considered evil? Were they an oppressive force of the world like the celestial dragons are today? In which case, the ascension of the celestial dragons, they would have considered good guys taking out the Lunarians. And actually, at one point, the Alliance could have been considered, in a way, a revolutionary army in their time if they were revolting against the Lunarians. There's a lot to consider here. Okay, but let's stop speculating here for now and go back to the story. Distant past, back then there was a kingdom of gods up there. Now we've got a shot of King. You're a Lunarian? The world government is offering 100 million berries for any information on them. Look, she's got 3 eyes. So this portion of Vegapunk's speech, we've got flashes to everyone of a unique race in One Piece. We've got the Buccaneers with Puma. And Whitebeard talking about Lunarians. No confirmation that Whitebeard is a Buccaneer, even though there's been speculation in one fandom that Whitebeard is a Buccaneer. No confirmation here. We've got the Lunarians with King. Then we've got the Three-Eyed Tribe with Pudding. Look, she's got 3 eyes. Nika, you're mine. We've got Bonnie moving in for an attack on not Kuma, on Saturn, and Saturn is aiming all of his poison legs at her. You are but a parrot mimicking what you do not comprehend. Enough, says Luffy. And now he sends out a kick, knocking away Saturn's attack once again. Luffy's laughing. Bonnie is tearing up, thinking, you can either live as a slave or die. Saturn talking to Kuma. Nothing else can be tolerated from someone of your ilk. That is what the tides of time have decided. Now, Bonnie, how dare you? All those things you did to Daddy. What you did to Mommy. Your mother ended up being part of my drug experiments. How dare you call yourself a god? Real gods do exist. And so we got a nice set of panels across. We got Kizaru laying on the ground. We got Sentomaru. Bonnie remembering when Kuma told her that She experimented, did drug experiments on her mother. Then a shot of Bonnie as a baby in her mother's arms. Bonnie, say hi to mommy. And across this panel, we've got the text from Bonnie saying, "What you did to my mommy, real gods do exist." Now she's remembering dancing with Uma. I wanted to be a hero, someone who could save people. All I ever wanted was for the three of us to live in peace. Being alone for so long made me want to die, but I kept going. Real heroes, too. So now Bonnie is crying as she's rearing back her attack. I owe everything to those two. Thank you, Bonnie. We're so glad you were born. They blessed me in so many ways. And then we got a shot of Saturn looking shocked. You insects. Liberating. We've got this really, really nice shot of Luffy and Bonnie. Luffy's got his fist coated in hockey and he's ready to go into an attack. And Bonnie's got her arm reared back. She's ready to go into attack. They're both flying in on Saturn. And Bonnie's attack is mimicking an elephant gun because her fist has blown up and it is coated in hockey. Luffy's fists are... Is he giant sized or regular size? It looks like he might be giant sized, or at least a little bit bigger than usual. And he's got his fist coated in arm hockey. And now we're going to Watcher 7. There's Iceberg. The broadcast is continuing. There will be a reckoning on the day those answers come. You must be on guard to protect yourselves. No matter what happens, I have faith in humanity's capacity for wisdom. So while that broadcast is continuing, we got a shot of Watcher 7 with Iceberg listening on. Then we get a shot of Caesar and Judge arguing, so that's their new alliance. They're still at each other's throats. Then we get a shot of Witheria and the weather wizards that Nami stayed with. And now we have a shot of back on Vegapunk's lab. And it's on fire. There's fire all around. I have faith in science. Jur died 25 years ago. And it's been 2 years since Whitebeard's death. A new age is heralded by the passing of old legends. And we get a shot of Topman and Shepard still attacking Emeth. Today, and we get a shot of... Oops, I missed the other page here. So I have faith in science. Because Roger died 25 years ago. It's been 2 years since Whitebeard's death. New age is heralded by the passing of old legends. Then we get the Nika Punch. And everyone, and not everyone, but Luffy is doing a Gatling with hockey coated punches on Saturn, and Bonnie does her elephant gun punch, and it lands on Saturn as well. We get a shot of Saturn falling back. He's got lots of holes in him, lots of chunks taken out of him, arms coming off. So they've done some damage to him. So he's going to have to regenerate that damage, but he seems to be falling into the ocean, which is interesting here. Because the next shot we have him flying further off the boat. He's completely flipped to his back, and he's right above the ocean, so he's about to fall into the ocean. If he falls into the ocean, A, he's damaged, so he has to use energy to regenerate, but if he's a devil fruit user and he falls into the water, his powers will be disabled. So is this indicating that Saturn is about to die? I don't think so. But it's a possibility. It's a possibility. And it's also a world-shaking event. If one of the elders dies here, one elder killed one of the rulers of the world, killed here on Egghead, that is an incident. But it requires for it to be, well, I guess it's a world-shaking incident whether people know about it or not. It changes it changes the world. So yeah, it could be a world-shaking incident if Saturn were to die here. But either way, they got him off the ship, which is the most important thing for Luffy and the Straw Hats, so that they can get the elders to stop pursuit so they can escape. That's the most important thing. Saturn's probably not going to die here. Probably some Marines or someone else is going to fish him out of the water if he lands in the water at all. Next panel, yeah, we've got the Giants celebrating with Dory and Broggy in front. Wow, Bonnie's crying. Luffy, ha 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 ha, we really sent them flying, Bonnie. Luffy laughing. Good job. We got a shot of Kuma and he's smiling a little bit, so he is conscious here. Look, isn't that your ship? Say Dory and Broggy. Sunny! And there's the Sunny overhead, still coming towards them, about to land in the water. Now on the Sunny, we're gonna die, we're gonna fall and die, someone save us. Usopp is panicking. Jinbei is at the helm. Chopper is clinging to Jinbei. Zoro is holding on to his sword and looking around. And the broadcast is picking up again. Such individuals are probably the closest to the truth. Is a coincidence, or did Roger set this all in motion? Now we got a shot of Roger before his execution. My treasure? It's yours to find. Everything is right where I left it. Ray-san, you'll catch a cold. We got Shaki putting a blanket over Rayleigh, who's fallen asleep. Got a huge snot bubble when he's snoring. Now we've got pirates cheering on. Vegapunk. This beehive. Maybe it's beehive. Alright, Vegapunk. I like where this is going. Yep, it is. Okay, it's beehive. Unfortunately, there is no guarantee that it will be found by someone Joy Boy would want. Isn't the Commodore back yet? I can't wait much longer. Emperor Blackbeard's lair. The pirate island, Hachinosu. Boss, you're drinking too much. Shut up, I ain't drinking. Emperor Red-Haired Shank's ship, the Red Force. German Buggy, there's no doubting your greatness. You always exceed our expectations. Huh? Huh? Emperor Buggy's base, Empty Bluffs Island. There's so much more to your dream than I thought. You've got Shanks and Mihawk, or not Shanks, but Crocodile and Mihawk both looking on. Crocodile has a rather disgusted look on his face, and Mihawk is kind of grimacing. There's no way we'll just stand by. Let's go and find it first. Who will protect the common folk then, you dolts? Navy headquarters. Then back to Vegapunk's broadcast. There's no stopping this now. The fate of this world will be decided by whoever finds it. It all depends on who finds the One Piece. And then we got this amazing shot of all the top contenders for the One Piece. We got the 4 emperors. We got Shanks, Luffy, Blackbeard, and Buggy. Then you got the naval forces, Akainu, Kobe, Akainu, Kobe, and Aokiji, even though Aokiji is with the Blackbeard pirates. So the shot, there's 2 layers. The first layer is the layer of the 4 Yonko. The second layer is all people that are top figures and in that running. And it is interesting that on the page before, there were Marines talking about just going out and finding the One Piece. So that indicates that at this stage, it's gotten so frantic and desperate, there are even those among the Marines that are considering, why don't we just go get the One Piece? If the Marines take the One Piece, then the pirates can't get the One Piece, and the world government is no longer threatened. I have a feeling that the elders and the world government doesn't want that. They don't want anyone to find the One Piece because of the potential threat to the world government, especially because the One Piece is connected to the true history of the world. And the world government has to be afraid that even regular people, even people that are loyal, completely loyal to the Marines and the world government, there's a possibility they might turn if they find out the truth. And that's why they don't want anyone to find the One Piece. But even among the Marines, there are people thinking, why don't we just get it? Which, obviously, depending on how loyal they are to Marines, would lead to some internal strife, but probably not too much, considering the stated goal of the Marines is to protect the citizens of the world. But anyway, I have to finish the chapter. This is the last page of the chapter, so the chapter's over. But we've got Akainu, Dragon, Eam, a swordsman, someone with a sword, a silhouette, someone that hasn't been revealed yet, Kobe, Aokiji, and Garling, Biggerland Garling, shot of him, and Sabo. A Battle for Supremacy. Chapter N. Break next week. And this panel is critically important because as we're heading into the final saga, we get who the major players in the final saga will be. Of course, we've got the Marines and the top head of the Marines, Akainu. We've got Aokiji, who at this point is working with Blackbeard. We still can't entirely rule him out as maybe a member of Sword working undercover, or even he could even be working undercover not as a member of Sword, but as just Aokiji himself. He could really have left the Marines and be operating as a free agent. In that case, what is his goal? Could Aokiji be after the One Piece? We've got Kobe, who is not after the One Piece. I don't believe he would be after the One Piece for any reason. But he is a major player now, especially with the Garp situation. So, Colby, his goal, he embodies what the true ideal of the Marines, the spirit of the Marines. He wants to protect people from bad guys. He wouldn't be after the One Piece, but he would be interested in stopping bad people from attaining the One Piece. Anyone that would use it to destroy the world. Also, he's got a personal grudge against Blackbeard. So Kobe will probably be okay with working with anyone that's against Blackbeard. We got Garling. We got Eam, Garling, mysterious swords person, mysterious person with a sword. Hmm. It, because of the way, but it was smart with this, because of the way the panels are aligned, you can't just take context clues from the arrangement of the panels, because the panels just have a mix of people. So we can't assume that this mysterious silhouetted figure is aligned with the Marines, or aligned with the revolutionaries, or a pirate, or some other independent force. But we just know that there's a person, there's someone here, a major player in the final saga, perhaps someone looking for the One Piece, that hasn't been revealed yet. And of course, we've got Eam. Eam's interest is maintaining control of the world. So Eam's goal would be to stop every person here, except for those loyal to him. So, but there does seem to be a secondary goal that Eam has, because when Eam was first introduced to the story, Eam seemed to be following a prophecy or issuing commands based on Eam's will, but they were talking about what light should be extinguished from the world, from history. And the phrasing of that indicates that either A, the orders coming from Eam are Eam's alone, and what Eam says becomes law, becomes history, becomes the prophecy, what should be, what light should be extinguished. Either that's the case, or B, there is something, a guide that Emu is following, a pre-written, predetermined prophecy, and Emu is extinguishing lights based on that. So, depending on how much freedom Emu has, there's a possibility that Emu is more concerned with taking out figures like Luffy that represent the dawning of a new world where Emu's absolute supremacy is overthrown and no longer the case. So Emu's goals are a little bit split in this. It's hard to tell which goal would be prioritized, whether it would be killing off figures like Luffy or finding the One Piece, or preventing the One Piece from being found. Because Emu already knows the world history, we can assume. Emu Emu already knows the world history. Does Emu already know what the One Piece is? If Emu already knows what the One Piece is, then Emu has no curiosity about it at all, and Emu knows exactly what it's capable of, which further explains the fear. Then on the opposite end of that point, if Emu doesn't know what the One Piece is, Emu still has to be afraid of it. But then Emu might have some curiosity about what exactly it is, and if Emu could take it and use it to maintain control of the world. But you'd think with the world government at his command, hmm, with the world government at his command, it's hard to say that in the 900 years since the void century, Emu hasn't once just said, let's scour the earth and find the One Piece. That lends more evidence to the theory that Emu knows what the One Piece is. Emu knows that he can't use the One Piece to his advantage in any way. So his best course of action to maintain power is to keep others from finding it and using it against him. Then we've got Garling, who would be acting as leader of the God Knights, acting under Eam, acting in to serve Emu's interests. An ally to Eam, or is he? We don't have a whole lot of characterization for Garling, so we can't figure anything out really. We know that his alliance, at least his stated alliance, is to Eam. So he would be in the final saga fighting on Eam's side for Eam's to preserve Eam's power and to preserve the celestial dragon's power, which is to preserve Garling's own status in the world. But he is also the presumed father of Shanks, so there is a question there. Would Garling kill Shanks to prevent Shanks from getting the One Piece? That is a question to consider. We've got revolutionaries. We've got Dragon, Sabo. Sabo will protect Luffy at all costs. He's already lost one brother. He's not going to lose another one. So Sabo's main priority in the final saga would be protecting Luffy. Secondary priority is helping Dragon to achieve their shared dream, which is overthrowing the world government. So naturally, that makes them enemies of everyone on the world government side. And for pirates, pirates and revolutionaries relationship seems to be neutral so far, but we have the caveat here. Blackbeard, once again, has made enemies with the revolutionaries. He has tried to wipe them out on, well, at least one occasion, when he raided Baltico and forced them to flee to the Kamabaka kingdom. So And that really speaks to Blackbeard's character and how Blackbeard operates as a pirate. He has made enemies with everyone. Everyone here. He's made enemies with world governments. Firstly, by being a pirate. Secondly, by joining them and betraying them and using them. He's made enemies with Shanks, of course. He's made enemies with Luffy, of course. He's enemies with Sabo, of course. From two angles. Having killed Sabo's brother Ace and attacking the Revolutionary Army and forcing them out of Baltigo, out of their headquarters. So there will be enemies between Dragon and Blackbeard, as well as Dragon and all the world government figures. And there will be enemies between Sabo and Blackbeard, as well as Sabo and all the world government figures. You could do one of those lines that draw those lines to form the connections between all the characters. But this is really probably one of the most important pages. Yeah, probably one of the most important pages in the series, because this is setting up who the major players in the final saga will be. Of course, there will be other characters involved, secondary characters and characters not as critical, but these are the people closest to finding the One Piece. The Yonko are absolutely 100% a given. Eam, I guess, should be a given just for the fact that Eam controls the world. A given. And then everyone else is sort of a surprise. The revolutionaries have no interest in finding the One Piece, but if the revolutionaries knew for sure that the One Piece was key to overthrowing the world government, they would be interested in finding the One Piece. They should also have, just on principle, an interest in stopping Eam from doing whatever Eam wants to do. So if Eam wants to stop people from getting the One Piece, the revolutionaries should be okay with, if not aiding people to find the One Piece, just because it's something that Eam's trying to stop people from doing. And between Dragon and Luffy, of course, there's no relationship, but there is a bond. With Dragon as Luffy's father, and Dragon does care about Luffy, though he's never actually interacted with Luffy. And Dragon should have a third grudge with Blackbeard when he learns that Blackbeard's crew may or may not have killed his father, Garp. So that's another line there. So now both halves of the Straw Hat crew have just about reunited here. I'm assuming in the next chapter we will finally have their ships. They will finally have the Sunny land in the ocean next to the giant pirate ship. And from there they can start setting sail and getting away from the island. Will they have to fend off any more celestial dragons or any more of the elders? That is a question. We also get the confirmation that Blackbeard is not on Hachinosu yet. He's still out. But once Blackbeard arrives at Hachinosu, the Blackbeard pirates are going to set sail in search of the One Piece. That has to be a given. But did we confirm that Teach has stolen the 3 of the 4 poneglyphs? Let's see. That information is in my mind, so I feel like I must have read it at some point. It's confirmed that Blackbeard has rubbings of the other Yonko's poneglyphs, which would be easy enough to get once their captains were taken out of the picture. And he went to Whole Cake specifically to take Pudding. He has Pudding in his possession. Pudding can use her ability as a member of the Three-Eye Tribe to read the poneglyphs. So he has his own Robin, which means Blackbeard would have no interest in taking Robin unless he was to lose Pudding. And that brings up a whole nother layer to consider, is the poneglyphs. Luffy has 3. Shanks, I believe, has 3. Luffy has 3. Shanks has 3. Blackbeard should have 3. Buggy has... We have no confirmation, do we, on how many poneglyphs Buggy has? And also, Buggy is the Yonko at a disadvantage because so far there's no one on his crew or no method he has to read the poneglyphs, so I'll have to go back and see if Buggy has 3 poneglyphs. If he does, that will put all the Yonko on the same page. They will all be looking for the last poneglyph. And what if the last poneglyph is on Elbaf? That would be an ideal place for it, because Elbaf is a legendary land. It's full of history. So it's very, very natural for a poneglyph to be there. It would also explain why it hasn't been found in all this time. People have found the other 3 poneglyphs at various points throughout history, but the last one, no one has ever gotten all 4 of them. So if there's a poneglyph on Elbaf, that would be the most protected poneglyph, the hardest to get. It would be the barrier to becoming king of the pirates for a lot of the people trying after Roger. It would also add to why it was so important, aside from the fact that Big Mom wanted giants. Big Mom wanted giants as part of her family in Whole Cake Island, in Totland. She wanted giants as part of her country. Marrying into the giants would give her that access, but it would also give her access to the last poneglyph, which would have made her king of the pirates. If the last poneglyph is on Elbaf. Of course, she could have just been speculating that with the added force of the giants, by marrying into the giant family and gaining the force of the giants, she would become a king of the pirates just because she had that overwhelming force, and nothing could stop her from hunting down the last poneglyph wherever it may be. But I'm thinking the last poneglyph is on Elbaf, and that marrying into the giant family would have given her a chance to get on the island, to be part of the giants. and to find that poneglyph and get access to it. But if the last, if the last poneglyph is on Elbaf, that means that all of the Yonko will have to go there. And Shanks was already there. Shanks was already at Elbaf, so if the last poneglyph is there, then Shanks should already have all 4 poneglyphs with the rubbings he took from Kid, if that's all correct. And Shanks decided to take action after Big Mom and Kaido were taken out of the picture. And his first move was to go to Elbaf. If there was a poneglyph there, his first move going to Elbaf would be to get the poneglyph he knows the location of. Then he got the other 2 from Kid as a bonus, because Kid is a dummy and went up and attacked them. And now he would have 4. If there is a poneglyph in Elbaf, he would have 4. And his next stop would be on the way to Raftel. Blackbeard, similar situation. But the interesting thing about Blackbeard is he hasn't taken a direct path to the poneglyphs. Once he learns where poneglyph is, it's usually after Luffy has been through that territory and the crew is in a weakened state. Then he sends some of his Titanic captains and portion of his crew to infiltrate and take whatever resources he is looking to take. In Whole Cake, he took the rubbings and pudding. It hasn't been stated that he's been to Wano yet, but actually he didn't even need to go to Wano at this point. He wiped out Law's crew, so he got the rubbings from Law, assumably. Because that would be easier than getting into Wano, because it's so hard to get into Wano. And the case for Buggy. Buggy has a massive information network too. He could just... Let's see, could he steal rubbings? Could. And it might just be that for Buggy, in Buggy's case, it will be a lucky situation that happens. Like, say, if Blackbeard gets wiped out early, then Buggy would inherit the rubbings from Blackbeard, and he would be in a position of having all 3 rubbings like the rest of the Yonko. Or if Shanks were to get eliminated, same kind of thing. Or it could just be a luck situation, but I could imagine a scenario where one of the Yonko makes copies of the rubbings they have, duplicates, and those duplicates end up in Buggy's hands somehow. That could be a possibility, but if Buggy doesn't already have 3 copies of the poneglyphs necessary to reach Raftel, he's definitely going to have them by the end of the final saga. So it's a given. As for the world government, agents, and the revolutionaries, who knows? The way I'm prioritizing it in my mind is that the Yonko are the 4 closest to the One Piece. easily. I think we can say that's a given. The four closest to the One Piece, one of these four is most likely to be the one to find the One Piece. Now, using it is another question, but finding it and learning the true history of the world, it's between one of these four. And it might end up with a situation where it's split among the four. Like maybe one of them learns the true history, and one of them finds, maybe finds Raftel or finds a One Piece location, and then one of them uses it. Because we have to consider Luffy, he's truly neutral. He doesn't care. He just wants to find the One Piece and be king of the pirates. He doesn't even necessarily want to use the One Piece, he just wants to solve the mystery of what it is. Blackbeard obviously wants to use it 100%. I think he doesn't really care what it is and what it would do. He just wants to use it. Like, hmm. Well, that's the thing though. Blackbeard's not a nihilist. So he would like to be ruler of the world, is what the vibe that I'm getting from Blackbeard so far. He wants to rule the world. He wants to usurp the Tenryubito and take their place atop the Red Line. Build a Hachinosu up there, and his pirate underlings become celestial dragons, and he becomes the Eam, and the cycle continues. That's where I see Blackbeard going, goal-wise, what his goal would be. So if the One Piece is something that would entirely vaporize, nuke, and destroy the planet, he wouldn't use it in that case. Short of that, I feel like he'd use it in most situations. Shanks, I feel like Shanks, it's not like Luffy. Shanks, I feel like, is trying to preserve and continue Will Rogers' legacy through himself. So his legacy is the legacy of Roger. Yeah, that's the way I see it. So he would be looking to finish what Roger started, to do what Roger couldn't do. Roger was too early. Roger couldn't do it. Shanks feels like he is going to be right on time when he goes. It's time. He will be right on time to do what Roger couldn't do. I think that's where Shanks' goal is with finding the One Piece. Buggy, in the end, I think Buggy is in a similar spot. He wants to do what his captain couldn't do, build his legacy, continue Roger's legacy by building his legacy. But he's going about it in a completely different way from Shanks because he's a completely different person, a completely different personality. But under it all, same thing, I think, with Shanks. Same as Shanks, which explains the for Yonko. Gone over Eam before, and I think Eam, other than the four Yonko, Eam is probably the next most likely to find it because of Eam's control of the planet. I'm assuming the One Piece can't be destroyed, so Eam's goal would be to stop people from getting it. And then everyone else, just no one else really cares about the One Piece that much, outside of how it affects them and their goals. Like the Yonko, want it. They want to find it. They want to get it. Eve wants to stop people from getting it. Everyone else doesn't care, really care, one way or the other, outside of how it affects them. Akainu wants to protect the status quo as it is and stop pirates. So it would be ideal for his position in the world if Emu got the One Piece because things would, in Akainu assumes things would keep going as they have been. Dragon wants to overthrow. He feels like he can overthrow the Celestial Dragons. But Dragon doesn't need the One Piece to overthrow the Celestial Dragons in his mind, so he wouldn't really care. Kobe, same sort of deal. Kobe, I think, wants to save lives. If using the One Piece would put people in danger, take lives, Kobe would be 100% against it. He would want it to not be found or to be found by people that wouldn't use it that way. Like Kobe wouldn't mind if Luffy found the One Piece and became king of the pirates. I think Kobe would very much mind if it was Blackbeard, and he probably wouldn't care too much if it was Shanks or Buggy. Aokiji, wild card. Still, even up to this point, even though his action so far has leaned him further, tipped those scales further towards him being at least following Blackbeard's orders. Maybe not entirely loyal to him and believing in his cause and wanting to help Blackbeard, but following his orders. Even though he didn't kill Garp. And I wonder if that puts him in a similar situation to Kizaru, Egghead, where he's carrying out orders he doesn't really feel or believe in. I feel like that might be the case. Garling, as I said earlier, he has a stated goal, so if we go just by the stated goal, he's going to be aligned with me. If there's something else we don't know about, there might be some more to his actions in the story and his character. We went over Saba. Saba's going to have zero interest in One Piece. Now, of course, this is just as things are right now. This could all be subject to change. Like if every person here, pictured here, learned exactly what the One Piece is, exactly what it's capable of, exactly what it can do, then all of them would probably be interested in finding it at that point. And then it goes back to the Flamingo's second speech. Let's see, should I say second speech? Yeah, I'm going to say second speech. Because I'd say there's the two pivotal, critical speeches that the Flamingo gave were the one in Marineford, and then the one after Dressrosa when he got captured. And in that speech, he did say it would be really interesting as the D's start to emerge and the top contenders for the One Piece start to emerge and clash and battle for a spot atop the world. Who will betray who? Who will ally with who? So it is completely possible, maybe even expected, that during the final saga, as the battles rage on and people get close to One Piece, alliances will change. So the alliances that we know going into the final saga for all of these characters, there could be changes. Like, just an example, Kobe could quit the Marines and join a pirate crew. I believe that's on the very, very, very lowest end of the scale of possibility, but it is a possibility. The revolutionaries, Sabo could leave the Revolutionary Army. Is that a possibility? I'd say it's not as low as Kobe leaving the Marines, but I think it's pretty darn low as well. Chief of Staff of the Revolutionary Army. Akainu, who has been stressed as heck since he got that cushy desk job as Fleet Admiral in the Marines. Kinda seems like he's not really enjoying his job at the top. I could see if it's hard to say if anything has changed in Akainu since his introduction. It seems like he's pretty much the same guy. He's just frustrated and stressed because he can't just go out there and lava everyone to death, lava all the pirates to death and be done with it. And he has to take orders from the Celestial Dragons and the Elders. Yes, that seems to be the thing that's frustrating Akainu the most, that he is now a dog on a leash. He can't run wild with his sense of justice. So, with that in mind, it's a possibility that he could, I don't know if he'd change alliances. Disobey orders? I think that's a high likelihood that at some point he might disobey orders. Change alliances? I'm going to say no at this stage. Especially since he's got some personal beef with Luffy and Sabo that is definitely going to have to be settled. And I don't see them having that beef settled. I don't see Akainu leaving the Marines, then having final confrontations with Luffy and or Sabo. I think that if he has a final confrontation with Luffy and or Sabo, it will be in his capacity as Fleet Admiral of the Marines. Unless something really, really wild were to happen and up in the story and somehow Akainu ended up being the final bad guy of the series, which would be incredibly crazy if something like that were to happen. But that's the only situation in which I think Akainu would have his alliances change, because he would go from Marine bad guy to top bad guy, end of series bad guy. That's the only alliance change I could possibly see for Akainu before he fights Luffy and Sabo. I think maybe he fights Luffy or Sabo, it has to be as a Marine. Because it was as a Marine that he killed Ace, he killed their brother. And I think that kind of covers it. There's a lot. This was a good chapter for kind of setting up things for the final war, especially the last page. That last page basically set the stage for the major players in the final war. This is not saying that there won't be other characters involved, but these are the people. These are the faces of the people. Among them is the one that will find the One Piece, apparently. And it's actually, when you look at the cast here and consider that there are things besides the One Piece, it's a battle for supremacy on multiple fronts. There is supremacy among pirates, king of the pirates. there is the battle for the One Piece. Just for the One Piece, for what it's capable of. Whoever finds it gets the title of King of the Pirates by default, but there are people that aren't interested in the title of King of the Pirates, but are interested in One Piece for what it is. A treasure, a weapon, whatever it is. They're interested in it for that purpose. Then there are people that are fighting to protect lives, that are fighting to protect the status quo, and then there are people that are fighting to change the status quo from within, but maintain that structure. So when you look at all the figures involved, it's a battle for the structure of the world going forward. Like when the dust is settled, Luffy will be the new Roger. Kobe will be the new Garp. Aokiji. Aokiji could end up the new Fleet Admiral. It could be a Sengoku Garp situation again, where Aokiji takes on the role of Fleet Admiral, and Kobe is Admiral because his dream is to become an Admiral, so he becomes an Admiral, and he is the new hero of the Marines. If the world government continues to exist, then Sabo could inherit Dragon's will of revolution and the destruction of the world government, and Sabo could take up the place as a new leader of the Revolutionary Army. And if we're just going spots are filled, like vacancies are created and then filled, then someone would have to fill Eames' vacancy as the ruler of the world. Maybe that would be the case, that something like that would happen. But maybe it will be a system where the status quo or the structures of the status quo continue to exist, but Eames is no longer at the top of it. It becomes a world that is truly free because there's no one person at the top dictating how the world is shaped and how actions and events unfold. That could be the case. But as this panel indicates, it's not just a battle for the One Piece and who's going to be king of the pirates. It's a battle for who's going to be head of the Marines or whatever system exists after the Marines that does the same job of protecting the citizenry. Who's going to lead the pirates, because Luffy doesn't want to lead the pirates. He just wants to be free. The only pirates he wants to lead are his crew. So who's going to be in that position, leading the pirates going forward, acting as leaders within the pirating world? Who's going to be that Whitebeard style force, even though Luffy's filling that role currently as a Yonko. But if Luffy moves beyond Yonko and becomes king of the pirates, who's going to step into that role? Who's going to protect territories from rampaging evil pirates? Who's going to protect the territories like not Fishman Island or Wano, but territories similar to those. Places full of good people that are just being ransacked and overtaken and ruled by evil pirates. He's going to take on that neutral, non-navy, but pirate allied force that keeps pirates at bay from certain territories. And then who's going to take on the will of Revolutionary Army? if the world structure completely changes, then the Revolutionary Army as we know it might not exist, but there might be some new revolutionary faction that springs out of it. Or it could end up being the case that the revolutionaries end up joining this. A new government structure is created and the revolutionaries join that structure. Could see something like that happening. But as I said, this chapter is really great for setting up the final arc. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. We are definitely wrapping up the arc now. Probably, see if they're in the ocean on the boat, sailing away from the island. I'm gonna be cautious and say maybe the next 10 chapters we'll be off the island and officially out of the Egghead Island arc and between arcs at that point, moving from Egghead into Elbaf. We've got our players, our stage set. We've got some reveals that will have to be made. Who is this person with the sword? And of course, Emu's ultimate identity will have to be revealed at some point. You've got an idea of the characters, of these characters in particular, their alliance going into the final saga. We will see alliances change, obviously. Will there be betrayals? Who will betray who? There's got to be betrayals. And interestingly, it does confirm for those that were doubting, Law, Kid, 100% out of the running for the One Piece. Now, they'll be present in the final saga, most likely. Still got a question mark about Kid, but at least Law. They'll be present in the final saga, but they're not going to be major players. They're not going to be in this set here. It all depends on who finds the One Piece, not in that set. But I think it was good of Oda to do that, to make things less uncertain in no uncertain terms. These are your top contenders for the One Piece. And that doesn't mean that the characters that aren't in contention for the One Piece are unimportant characters. It just means they're not in that running. It just means that these are your characters that are going to make the biggest impact and plays at the end of by end of story. It's an interesting set. So that's going to be it for the chapter. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and comment and subscribe. I'm very interested in seeing your comments and thoughts on this chapter and what it means for the upcoming, the final saga and the end of the series. What it means for speculation about how the final series might possibly unfold. Maybe what the One Piece is and the state of the world after the One Piece is found. All of that lovely stuff. And I will see you in the next chapter. Until then, stay cool.